Anand, it's been a very interesting discussion with you. And I think if we sort of recap, the budget, what it has meant is that there have been increases, unfortunately, in business asset disposal relief from 10 to 14%, which happens from April 25, and then it goes to 18% from April 26. And CGT was instantly increased on the date of the budget from 20 to 24% for the sale of businesses. But what that does mean is that it's not as high as what a lot had feared. So if you are looking at selling a business, it does potentially make sense to just do what you now know is in place, for the fear of the uncertainty of whether tax rises will happen, particularly if Rachel Reeves isn't able to balance the budget, etc. Where does she go? Does she use tax rises in the future? I think also is bear in mind that a lot of change will need to take place when there's that big lifestyle event of selling your business. Everything now needs to be reassessed, and particularly work with estate planners on will writing, etc., because things are changing now very much. Whereas your pension in the past, you thought it was going to be IHT free, that's not necessarily the case. If you still have any other businesses, business property relief is going to be capped, and then also now comes into IHT. We've talked about possibly going abroad. Bear in mind the pros and the cons, but it might really work. It might be that you would suit a family investment vehicle, or indeed to set up trusts. Also, maybe needing to take out policies to cover the extra IHT that you didn't have before. Lots and lots of options, but I think from our side, the market is going to continue to be incredibly busy. And that's partly because of the age profile of business owners in the IFA marketplace, which, as we know, the average age is around 58. So many sellers of businesses are already in their 60s and 70s. So unfortunately, decisions need to be made on what's going to happen with a business. Really appreciate your time, Anand. I think it goes without saying, any of these schemes needs to be thought through and actually understand all the pros and cons with them, and you need to make sure that you're fully informed, because a little knowledge can be dangerous knowledge, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I would say a couple of things as well. You're quite right. The budget was a budget for action. It's not a budget for inaction. There are things that people need to think about, take a step back and look at the plans they had in place, because they will need to change in order to try and mitigate at least some of these tax rises. But you're also right as well that any plans that you do put in place, implementation is absolutely key. I've seen on a couple of occasions people have like these ideas, and sometimes you're left picking up the pieces from what the advice they'd been given, because they hadn't actually necessarily taken the formal advice, as you say, and they had a little bit of knowledge. They tried to do it themselves, and sometimes I've seen it where the wrong paper's been signed, or it's been wrongly completed, or these tax elections are very important, and in some cases they will be required for certain types of transactions. So it's very important that they're done correctly, and so you will need a fully qualified tax advisor to do that.
Well, once again, thank you, Anand. And please also make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also our contact details for both myself and Anand will be shown on screen following this interview.